Welcome, Fred, to the show. College football season is here. Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about football, but right now we're going to talk a lot about NXT because we've got one of the superstars from NXT. He is here, and we are excited to have Trick Williams joining Fred the show on this week that we get college football started. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Look at you, man. You are ripped right there. Great to have you with me this morning.
What's going on, Fred? I'm happy to be here. Let's talk about it.
You are good to go, no question about it. We're going to get a chance to see you up close in about a week from now. It's going to be early September, September 5th, Friday night. You and the whole NXT crew are going to be at Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium. It's a homecoming for you because you grew up in South Carolina. How excited are you?
That's right. I'm coming back home, man. I get to go home and get some of my mama's cooking, some of that good old macaroni, you know what I mean, some of that catfish. You know what I mean? I'm ready to come back home and put on a show for my people. You know, Fred, I haven't wrestled in South Carolina yet. So this is a big moment.
Wow, that's the first time for that. That's amazing. Awesome. Okay, so give us an update on where you are. Now, right now we're recording in the middle of August. You're trying to get that NXT championship back. Where are you right now as far as that process goes?
That's right. So like you said, man, I'm a current TNA champion on the way to Heat Wave, where I have a match in Philadelphia next Tuesday to become the number 1 contender to get that title match at NXT Heat Wave. So that would make me a 3-time NXT champion and current Trick NA champion. So I'll be champion of 2 brands at the same time.
I like how that. Yeah. That is awesome stuff. Now, meanwhile, let me ask you about something. What's going on with you and the WWE Hall of Famer, The Undertaker?
Oh, man. Well, not too much is going on right now. You know, we had some beef, but we squashed it. You know, we can leave it there. Well, you know, I was bullying some of his LFG guys, some of his team he has from LFG. And to be honest with you, I wasn't really bullying them. You know, I was trying to help them out because they were in my way. You know, they was disrespecting the current TNA champion, and I can't stand for that. You know, I can't live for that. If I'm walking through a room, they need to part like the Red Sea. You feel me?
No, I would if you came in any room. I'd get out of your way. I want to come back. I want to come back to NXT in just a couple of minutes, but I also want to talk a little bit about your football career. First of all, you grew up in the state of South Carolina, Columbia area, Keenan High School. You were a star. You went to Hampton University. You were there for a couple of years. Tell me what happened at that point that steered you back to the Palmetto State and eventually joining the University of South Carolina football team.
Yes, sir. Man, great question. You know, Hampton was a great school, and man, I love my HBCUs. But as far as, you know, for the athletics, for my personal goal of being an NFL star at the time, you know, I just saw a better chance of that happening going to South Carolina, who was the number 4 team in the nation, which was, you know, the school that I actually wanted to go to if we talk about football. You know, Hampton was cool, but I decided I was going to take a chance on myself and walk on to the University of South Carolina. Now, you know, at that time, it seemed crazy, because who does that? There was no transfer portal at the time, Fred. I invented the transfer portal by transferring by myself to the University of South Carolina. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
You know, tried out for the team. You know, there's 120 some odd people trying to get onto the team. They had nothing but 8 spots. I went and got one of those spots, you know, to play under Steve Spurrier at the University of South Carolina. Not only did I earn myself one of those spots on the team or work my way up to becoming a starter, work my way to being there he is. Look at that boy, number 15 right there. Work my way to making some crucial plays. That's against Citadel right there. You know what I mean? Work my way to just, you know, being a contributor, you know, being the first man to ever be on the stadium, you know, at Williams-Brice. And, you know, as much as I love to take the credit, I take credit for a lot of things. I'm not shy. But I must say, you know, God, he took care of me on this because I took a leap of faith and decided I was going to do something that I've never seen done before. And God carried me all the way through. So I'm thankful for that.
You did something really bold. You said you invented the transfer portal. Did you walk just right into the football offices and talk to Steve Spurrier Jr.?
I walked straight into the office. I walked straight to Steve Spurrier Jr.'s office. Let me tell you something. When I walked through the building, at the time there's a gate. Now there's a gate in front of Williams-Brice. So you can't just walk straight into the coach's office. Matter of fact, they have the whole practice facility now. But at the time, everything was at Williams-Brice. And I just walked straight through the door. I had a full suit on, you know what I mean? I was looking good. I didn't look left. I didn't look right. I just went straight to the elevator. There was a receptionist to the right. I ain't paying him no mind. I walked straight to the elevator, and I seen Coach's office. Whoa, you know what I mean? I ain't know I was going to get this far. Let's see what happens. I go straight to Steve Spurrier Jr. He said, "What you doing, son?" I said, "Hello, my name is Matthew Belton." I shook his hand, and I'm here to play football. He said, "Okay, well, you have good size. You dress nice, and, we like our wide receivers looking like that. Do you go to the school?" I said, "No, sir. Currently a student at Hampton University, but I want to play here." He said, "Well, there's nothing I can do for you. You need to get to the school. You got to get accepted, and then we have tryouts in the spring." But
and then you went to those tryouts, and your chances. Didn't the coaches say that pretty much your chances, anybody in that group, were like next to zero to actually make that team?
Next to zero. There's a guy there named Jamie Speronis. He was in charge of all the football operations. And I just remember sitting in that meeting with those 120 plus people. And he says, "In case you haven't noticed, this is the University of South Carolina. We are the number 4 team in the nation. And the truth is, we don't need anybody in this room right now. If you're going to make this team, you probably need to run a 4.40, do something exceptional, then we'll probably put you on some special teams. But honestly, we just want to boost the team GPA."
Well, you did both, as a matter of fact. So you got to play 15 and 16. You caught 11 passes. You mentioned you started 5 games after making the team. I do want to remind everybody, you graduated from USC. You had a degree in physical education. You were also on the SEC Fall Academic Honor Roll. So you were successful both of those jobs they gave you to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. And I'm grateful for the experience. I had a great time at the University of South Carolina. And it made me the man who I am today, man. Like, I'm going to persevere. When I set my mind to it, I'm going to get the job done.
You got the job done. Then it was time after graduation to figure out what to do next. And at one point, if I understand this right, you were trying to make it in the XFL, which had been created by WWE. You sent a tape, but it wasn't going to be football. Tell us how that got you into the ring.
That's right. So, man, I eventually went to camp with the Philadelphia Eagles, and, man, had some good footage, and I thought, I could probably bounce to another team. Nothing happened with the NFL. So I signed with the agent after that and tried to get me to the XFL. Now, at the time, he was affiliated with some people who was working in the WWE at the time. So when I sent my film to the XFL, WWE reached out to me the very next day and said, "Hey, just came across your footage. We want to see if you're interested in coming to a WWE tryout." Now, mind you, I was a big fan of WWE, especially back in the day, Attitude Era. Matter of fact, my first cuss word, open a can of whoopee, just like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Let's talk about it. But so I love the product. You know what I mean? And I hadn't watched in a few years because I was so locked in on football. But at the time, I was thinking, man, like I never thought about actually pursuing, professional wrestling, becoming a WWE superstar. I just never seen it. You know what I mean? I didn't know anybody who had done it. So they sent us information. And I was like, man, this seems like a cool idea. But, the tights, man, I don't know if I can walk around in those tights. And then my pop said, I said, WWE just sent me an email. Like, I don't know if it's real. Like, what you think? He said, well, you need to make some money somehow. You better go to that trial. I lie you not, Fred. I went to that trial and I fell in love. Like, I knew from that moment, that's exactly what I was supposed to do. And, since I was a little kid, I always felt like I was supposed to play in the Super Bowl and perform at halftime. I don't know how that made sense in my mind. I don't know, how exactly that was going to happen. But being a sports entertainer was exactly what I was meant to be my entire life. And I knew it as soon as I had stepped into the ring. I was like, this is who I am. This is what I'm supposed to be. And ever since then, they didn't sign me to my first time at the tryout. So I had to go pursue it. I had to move back to Philadelphia after camp. Then I had to go to a school named CZW and, learn what this business was all about, pursue it. They brought me back for another tryout. COVID broke out the exact same day. like the exact same day. It was 2020. So they sent me back home. Then I had to go back and train. I moved out to Los Angeles during COVID. I was training for wrestling there. And then I got signed, some months later after that. But yeah, since I stepped in the ring for the first time, I knew this is what I'm supposed to do.
Well, you have really, really done it. There's no question about it. Now you are one of the elite stars of this. What's the difference for fans when they're going to come to see you in Spartanburg when they see a WWE show and they see an NXT show? I mean, I know it's elite stuff, but flying around, what's the difference between, are there different personalities to these shows?
Yeah, man. I mean, our show period offers a lot of variety. Like, you're showing some clips of Obafemi there. Right there's Ricky Saints. I saw Wesley. I mean, we got people coming from all different backgrounds. Look, Sol Ruka, man, she's one of the most impressive athletes you're going to find, man. She comes out of Oregon doing acrobatics. And NXT, what we have to offer, nobody else has. And that's hunger. People who are here at NXT who know they have what it takes to be at the next level. They want to get paid. We want to take our careers to the next level. We have exceptional athleticism. NXT, we recruit straight out of colleges and the indies and martial art backgrounds. We have people coming from all different backgrounds. So, we have a very diverse group where people are, we studs. We great athletes. When you walk through there, man, it's like walking through a gladiator arena. It's full of people who, they look the part, they're athletic, they're hungry. They're trying to get to the money, man. They're trying to get to the Hall of Fame. They trying to get to the WrestleMania spots. So that's why our NXT show has something that no other show has to offer.
That's awesome. NXT, you can see it Tuesday nights at 8 on the CW 62 here in the upstate in Western North Carolina. Speaking of the CW, you did a little other work that I think some people, I don't think if they blinked, they missed it, but you were on All-American. You were on the season finale. You played the athletic director at South Crenshaw High. You came a long way from being an extra in season 3.
That's right, man. Like I say, Fred, we be jumping over here, man. We take leaps of faith. And shout out to CW for bringing me back to the show. Excuse me, a little loud outside.
Yeah.
For bringing me back to the show, man. Because it was a great experience. It's another full circle moment that I've had in my life, and man, they treated me good. They treated me good, man. CW loves NXT, and NXT loves CW.
I got about 30 seconds left. All right, let everybody know what they're going to see when you show up with that NXT crew in early September here in the upstate, back in Spartanburg.
That's right. Trick Willie's coming back home, man. Trick Willie does what Trick Willie does best, and that's put on a show. I am your TNA champion. I am your Trick and A champion. 1-time North American champ. 2-time NXT champ. About to be 3-time NXT champ, and I am the man who's going to carry your brand to the next level. Let's talk about it.
I like how you sound. Trick Williams, thank you for being with us today. Best of luck to you. We're going to be following your success and can't wait to get you back home in your home state of South Carolina.
Thank you so much for having me, Fred. I appreciate you.
Great having you today. And Fred, the show will be back in just a moment. Back on Fred the Show now, it is time to talk Clemson football, and there is no better expert that we could bring in except Eric Mac Lain, ACC Network football analyst, of course, played for the Tigers 2011 to 2015, and co-host of the excellent and prolific Gramlich and McLean podcast with Kelly Gramlich. They do it all the time on ACC football. Eric, thanks for being here.
Yeah, Fred, thank you for having me, man. August has been a whirlwind. I've been traveling all over the place, but excited to talk to you, excited to talk about these Tigers. And, man, it's going to be a fun year. There's a lot to be excited about for Clemson.
Absolutely. I'm going to get to that in a moment, but I also want to bring up, just so everybody can remember, you have one of the nicest dispositions of anybody I've ever met in sports, in media, and yet you look so nasty mean in these pictures from your playing days. I mean, what kind of guy were you?
Yeah, that's all the facade, right? You got to look scary out there. These are some great pictures. These are some pictures I've never seen before, Fred.
Okay.
Good discovery here by the team. But, yeah, man, I was a decent player, but I love what I did, was a guy that just loved to get after it. And I love to talk, too. It's funny, there's not a lot of those, pictures or videos of me getting after people, but we would let you know what we were about to do to you.
I don't blame. We're going to get back to 2015 in a moment. 10 years since Clemson really broke through in the college football playoff era. Okay, I want to start with 2025, and here comes a hot take. Incoming hot take. I want to know what you think. I don't think that Clemson LSU at the THE, all caps, at the Death Valley makes the Tigers season or breaks the Tigers season, but they absolutely have to win this game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and I think it's one of those things. Everybody for week one, right? There's some massive matchups with Clemson, LSU, with when you see Miami hosting Notre Dame, Florida State, Alabama, Texas, Ohio State. There's a ton of really big matchups all across the board for week one. And at the end of the day, you still have the full season ahead of you for all those teams that win or lose. But, man, it gives you some nice pole position. It gives you a really nice starting foundation if you're able to win and able to capture this moment, specifically with the Tigers. And listen, they have a great schedule. They have a difficult schedule, but it certainly helps when you can have a quality win like this, week one, at your house. I think this is only the third top 10 opener ever in Clemson history. You guys, I believe that's kind of the number there. It's a big deal, and it's a huge opportunity for Clemson.
We will see how that goes. So that was a hot take. Let me ask you if another hot take has maybe disappeared into the past for Clemson. And that was the national, as I like to call them, the college football gatekeeping media. I don't think you're a member of that, who said that Clemson's done. The game has passed Dabo by. He doesn't understand the transfer portal. Now suddenly he takes three guys who look like they're going to be contributors this year, and suddenly problem solved.
Yeah, it is kind of funny, Fred. 12 months ago, right now, we were talking about some coaches in the ACC that were program builders, that knew how to do it, that were culture kings, and they were doing this, and Dabo Swinney was done. And I just was laughing at that because I just couldn't believe what I was hearing, and that people really thought that. And here we are today, those teams coming off horrific seasons, and other team in Clemson coming off a college football playoff appearance and primed to be arguably one of the best teams in the country. And so the proof is in the pudding for Coach Swinney, how he's done it, how he's built this team, how he's won. He's the winningest coach in ACC history. It's just one of those things where he's got it, and he knows what's best for Clemson, and he's going to always do what is best for Clemson. And guess what? That this year in particularly, that was dabbling in the transfer portal. That was going and getting some guys that can help right now. And I look at all three of those guys. You start with Will Held starting at the defensive end position. You look at, Alexander there, Jeremiah Alexander at the linebacker position, going to play a ton. And then Tristan Smith, who's going to be unbelievable quality depth at the wide receiver position, and a unit that's loaded. That's arguably, in my opinion, the best unit in the entire country. And you add a 6'5" ball hawk to that can go up and get it. So he's made great decisions, man, that were very beneficial always to Clemson, and always going to protect them. And we'll see here. If he wins a championship this year based on how he's done things, I mean, he's locking it up as probably the second best ever, right behind Nick Saban.
Well, let's talk about Clemson specifically. Obviously, you played on elite teams, so you followed this program. You just talked about all your campus visits, so you were there on the field. You could see this whole collective group. Overall picture, what did you see across the board?
Yeah, I think Cade Klubnik's the best quarterback in the country. You're seeing a guy that is growing, that has developed, that has learned, that has been through the highs and the lows, right? I mean, his whole life up until college, the dude was extremely successful. I don't know if he lost a game, as a starting quarterback in high school, and just won championships. Then he gets to Clemson. He takes over as a freshman, wins the ACC championship, wins the MVP, goes to the Orange Bowl, and, that was what it was. But then his next year as a full starter, there was some lows, and there were some weird things that happened with ball security. And I'm not saying it was his fault a lot of the time, but it just wasn't what people expected, and people were a little concerned about things of that nature. And then, of course, he comes back in 24 and just takes off and takes his game to another level. Fred, I think there's still another level he can get to. I think his operation in the red zone, scoring in the red zone, is going to improve this year and be something to watch, and how he can really improve there. I also think these receivers, as I mentioned, that he has to throw to is just outstanding and a really, really deep group there. Both lines of scrimmage, man, dominant. I mean, you're talking about an offensive line that has played together for a long time, has a lot of snaps together. And then you have arguably the number one defensive tackle, arguably the number one defensive end on the same D line in Peter Woods and TJ Parker there. So I think the addition of Tom Allen, the new defensive coordinator, is going to get that defense inspired, passionate, riled up. I mean, he's the closest thing I've seen to Coach Venables, which is a really great thing. I know Clemson fans are very excited.
Yeah, I'm an Indiana fan and Indiana guy, obviously, and I remember Tom Allen. Their garbage cans near the field need to be careful, he celebrates doing that, not in a bad way. He does bring that unusual kind of energy to it, and it really looks like they seem to talk more about scheme and accountability about accountability and effort and that kind of thing versus a change in the scheme.
Yeah, and I think, it's interesting, man, because, a guy like Tom Allen coming in to be the leader, right? They didn't replace or change really anybody else on the defensive staff. He just came in and is going to be that and is going to be the, kind of the steering wheel to the car there and help everybody go in the right direction. And I thought what was so, telling, interesting, however you want to phrase it, when he came in spring, it was going back to the ground floor as if these guys had never played football before. Like, we're going to learn how to tackle. We're going to learn how to take the right steps and play this game. And guess what? If you mess up, you don't do it right, we're doing up downs. We're doing sprints, and we're going to hold you to this standard. And, just hearing him on the mic, like he's got the voice of God at practice for the defense. And, he's just sitting there. Nobody's going to outwork you. Like, he's just saying these like reminders throughout practice. And, I loved it. Nobody's going to outwork you. Nobody's going to pay attention to detail more than you. Nobody's going to do that. You will never quit. Like, just all these cool things when it's hot, when it's heavy, when it's a hard practice. And just to hear that, and you're like, okay, let's go. Like, I believe that. I know that. And that's, I think, is going to really translate to game day.
Teams have to develop. Teams aren't perfect in August. It sounds like, in general, would you say are the two areas that, I don't want to say concern, but you're watching for would be running back, and also you do have to occasionally punt?
Let me tell you something. If we're talking about punter as the biggest concern, hey, you're in a good spot, right? You're happy. You're doing really good. But it is, it is a concern. And some of the, the quotes from Coach Sweeney that we've heard from camp are interesting about the punting situation. He says he's going to pray, say he's going to pull a name out of the hat, whatever. And I'm sure it'll be fine. And maybe he's tricking us a little bit there. But I'll phrase it this way. It was a point of interest for me when I went to camp and when I got to see Clemson up close and personal regarding the running back position. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be fine. And I get it. There's major inexperience, which that's a big deal, right? Like playing in a game, taking hits in a game, carrying the ball between the tackles in a game consistently for a full season. That's a big deal, and it's a tough thing to do. But, man, Adam Randall looks fantastic. We just put out a clip you mentioned on Gamecock and Mac Lain about that journey and about when Coach Sweeney kind of thought about it. And he said on the ride home from the ACC championship, he's not thinking about the playoff. He's not thinking about how great that performance just was, winning a title. He's thinking about Adam Randall. And he's thinking of how can we help Adam Randall and how can Adam Randall help us? And I think that's just so telling of who he is as a person, Coach Dabo Sweeney. And then also for Adam, how great of a leader, how great of a person he is to make that change when he did in his career. And guess what? It's working out. I mean, he's going into week one as the starter against LSU. And then you've got Easy webehind him. You got superstar, true freshman, Gideon Davidson behind him. I think all three play week one, and we'll see, if Adam continues to be the alpha like he has and can be durable and ride it out all season. If not, I feel really good about the depth behind him.
I got just a couple of minutes left, and I want to get to something you were a part of. It's been 10 years since the Tigers broke through to have their first entry into the college football playoff era. Set that year up for me. I think two things I remember were, number one, we knew that Clemson with a healthy Deshaun Watson was really good. And second, big win over South Carolina, huge bowl win without Watson to head into that 2015 season.
Yeah, going into it, man, it was one of those things where, the outside perspective was we were a year early, right? Like everyone really kind of thought and knew, okay, this 2016 team, which they weren't wrong, has a real shot. But man, we went wire to wire #1 in the college football playoff rankings. Just a team that had the right stuff and a defensive line that was nasty. We had a hodgepodge offensive line that came together and figured it out. And you guys are seeing all these clips. I mean, this is my favorite game in my entire career going against Notre Dame, just because it was the magnitude of it. That's a good pancake there by 78. I appreciate you guys showing that. But the magnitude of it, my dad is a South Bend guy. He grew up in Indiana, born in Indiana, and his whole family and himself grew up cheering for Notre Dame. And so I kind of had that circled for me for a long, long time. And to be able to play against those guys, the magnitude of the game, and then to win it was really fun. But man, for us to get all the way to the national championship, come up a little short, it was just a fun season. We knew from that point on Clemson was going to be good, right? Like we had the culture, we had the guys, we had the foundation set, and they were just going to keep building on top of that. And man, have they. It's been a joy for me to watch, to remember, and just see all these things.
I got just about a minute left, and I don't know if this is a fair question to ask or not with the amount of time I've got. All the talk about the playoff and how many teams should be in it, whether it's 4, then 12, the Big Ten wants to do 20 plus. It seems to me we've made this into the most joyless event possible because there's so much year-long whining about it.
Exactly. And I think what will eliminate the whining is obviously you have steps on how to qualify. Like there are very key things that have to happen. It's not opinion based. You have to do this. And if you can accomplish that, then you get in the playoff. And guess what? That takes winning to a whole nother level. That takes the regular season to a whole nother level. And the more teams you add, obviously, the easier it is to get, but it also does give more of a chance. I think as close as we can get, man, to replicating the NFL model, which clearly works and is clearly a sight to see, even those wild card teams. I remember a bunch of years ago, the Packers got in as a wild card team and won the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's important. Yep. And just to see that and give that opportunity where we're not screaming and shouting Friday through Sunday on Selection Sunday of who should be in and why they're deserving and why they've earned it and how their strength of schedule and what metric we can bend to our, kind of wants and opinions. Yeah. Let's just say, did they win the game they were supposed to get in? If yes, guess what? They're in the playoff, and we're going to have a really fun one. So we'll see. Fred, you and I would solve all this in a day, but they didn't ask any of us. So we'll just keep talking about it on here. I think that's a great idea. Eric, thanks for being with us today. Enjoy the 2025 season. It's finally here. Yeah, you too, brother. I appreciate you very much. All right. Thanks so much. That's Eric Mac Lain, and that's Fred the Show. We'll see you next time here on WSPA.